everyone, I am Sneha, co-founder and CEO DevCompass. As always, you know what I'm going to say next. Super thrilled to be here recording this video. We are on video number 5 of stage 3 of our Claude certificate preparation course, and I hope you guys are happy to see me. Please do. And for everyone else who does not have a context on what this course is about, please head over to devcompass.ai and you will get all the information there. Meanwhile, feel free to connect with me over all social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, and directly get in touch or write to us. We love emails, absolutely love emails. Okay, so in the previous videos, we have been focusing a lot on multi-agent architecture, how coordinator works with sub-agents, how does it decide which strategy to go forward with, etc. And in this one, we're going to talk about how multi-agent pipelines break. Because come on, if you know how to build one, you should also know what breaks it so that you avoid those scenarios and just build and write the perfect code in one go. So single agent systems have one failure mode, the agent breaks. Multi-agent systems have two failure modes that don't exist in single agent systems, and they're absolutely opposite in character. And that is what this video is all about. Silent failure versus cascade failure. Okay. The first silent failure is a subagent fails. The failure gets absorbed somewhere in the pipeline and the coordinator produces a response that looks fine but is based on incomplete information. Nobody knows something went wrong. The second is cascade failure. A subagent fails, the failure propagates upwards, the coordinator crashes, and the whole pipeline stops. Both are bad. Both have specific causes and both have specific fixes. So let's go through them. Okay, so two failure archetypes, and I want you to feel the difference between them before we get into causes and fixes. Silent failure. The pipeline is complete. The coordinator produces a response. The customer receives an answer. Nobody sees an error. But the account lookup sub-agent timed out very quickly. It returned an empty result instead of an error. The coordinator receiving an empty result synthesized a response using only the order information. The response tells the customer about their order but says nothing about their account status because the coordinator didn't have that information. The customer gets a partial answer. Again, this relates very much to the context isolation that we have already spoken about. If you have not watched that video, please head over to that video. It's a fun one. Now, they might not even realize that it's a partial answer. The coordinator doesn't flag that something was missing. Now, this is the dangerous failure mode because it's invisible. Nothing is breaking. But on the other hand is cascade failure. The ordered lookup sub-agent throws an unhandled exception. That exception propagates up through the task tool call. The coordinator's code does not have a try-catch around the task call, so the exception propagates further. The whole agent process crashes, and that is why the bursting pipe. The customer sees an error page, the failure is visible and immediately obvious, which makes it super easier to fix. But it is also a complete service failure. So the lesson from looking at both of these failures together is cascade failure is bad but fixable quickly because you know immediately that something broke. Silent failure is worse in production because it erodes trust slowly. Customers get partial answers, wrong answers, or incomplete responses, and you don't know it's happening until someone escalates. So let's look at how do we handle and what actually happens. Okay, so let me first take you through how silent failure actually happens in the pipeline. So the coordinator spawns two sub-agents in parallel: account lookup sub-agent, order lookup sub-agent. Order lookup is completely fine, that is why they're successful. Account lookup times out. The database doesn't respond within the timeout window. Now look at what account lookup subagent returns. It returns an empty string. Not an error, not a structured error response with a category, retriable flag or a message, but an empty string. Now why? Because the developer didn't really write error handling in the subagent. It caught the timeout exception and returned nothing rather than letting it propagate. The coordinator receives two results. Order result, full structured data, account result, empty string. The coordinator parses the result and proceeds with what it has. It doesn't know the empty string was supposed to be account data. Again, no context. It treats it as a valid result, just a result with nothing in it. It synthesizes a response using only the order data. The response goes to the customer. It answers the order question correctly. It says nothing about the account status because there's no account data. The customer asked about both. They got an answer about one. Now look at what should have happened instead. The box at the bottom right of the diagram, the account lookup subagent, should have caught the timeout and returned a structured error. Category timeout, retriable, true, coverage annotation, account status not retrieved, lookup timed out. The coordinator receives this structured error, recognizes it as a partial result and includes a coverage annotation in its response. I found your order information was but unable to retrieve your account status at this time. Honest, complete, the customer does know that something is missing here. Now let us see how Cascade failure works behind the scene. There's the same pipeline but a different problem. The coordinator spawns the order lookup agent. The subagent calls lookup order. The tool throws an unhandled exception. Maybe the order database is down. Maybe there's a network error. The subagent doesn't catch this exception. It propagates out of the tool call, out of the subagent's loop and back to the coordinator as an unhandled error from the task tool call. The coordinator's code calls the task tool without a try-catch block around it, so the exception propagates further out of the coordinator's loop entirely. The whole agent process crashes. The customer request fails completely. There's an error page. Now look at the fixed version. Same exception from the tool, but now the subagent has a try-catch around its tool call. It catches the exception and instead of letting it propagate, it returns a structured error, category system error, retriable false, message, orders database available. The subagent returns cleanly, no exception propagates. The coordinator receives a structured error result from the task tool. The coordinator recognizes the error and because it is non-retriable, it doesn't attempt the task again. Instead, it responds to the customer, I was able to look up to your account, but the order system is currently unavailable. Please try again in a few minutes. It's a partial success. It's honest. The pipeline did not crash. So the coordinator also needs a try-catch as a safety net. Even if sub-agents handle their own errors, the coordinator shouldn't be one unhandled exception away from complete failure because you need that defense in a really deep level to not create such a havoc. So let's look at what are the fixes. So for the silent failure, return a structured error with a coverage annotation when something goes wrong. Don't return empty, don't return null, don't return a generic message, return a very structured object that tells the coordinator what happened, whether it is retriable and critically what information was not retrieved. The coverage annotation is the piece that lets the coordinator give an honest response to the user instead of silently incomplete one. For Cascade failure fix, wrap every tool call in a try-catch, every single one. Again, every single one. If the tool throws for any reason, expected, unexpected, catch it and return a structured error. Never let an exception propagate out of a sub-agent. The coordinator's error handling should never depend on the sub-agent having clean error handling. Add a try-catch in the coordinator too as a safety net, because you need defense mechanism. Now both of these together mean that a multi-agent pipeline can experience partial failures but gracefully. One sub-agent fails, the coordinator knows it failed, knows what it didn't retrieve, and can produce a response that's honest about what's missing, without the whole pipeline crashing and without silently returning incomplete data for the customer to not notice. So this video was all about the two major failures that breaks multi-agent systems. Silent failure, where sub-agent returns empty instead of showing error. Cascade failure, unhandled exception propagates, so the whole pipeline crashes. So you fix both with structured errors, with coverage annotations, and try-catch block everywhere. So now your multi-agent pipeline handles failure very, very gracefully. One last architectural question before we head to stage 3 capstone project is, what do you do when a long-running multi-agent tasks get interrupted? When you come back to a paused session, you have 3 choices: resume, fork, or start fresh. Each is right in different situation, and that is going to be our final video of stage 3, all about sessions. Really excited to see you guys there. I will find you in the next one.